We're cooking in the Instant Pot. Don't be disappointed by that because we're actually making chuck roast. I have the sear setting on high. We're going to give it some good color on both sides, along with seasoning it up with some potato slayer seasoning from Fire and Smoke Society and a splooge of Earl. Communication between my brain and my hands wasn't great because apparently I forgot to put the Earl at the bottom of the pan, so we did have some stickage on the flippage. Go ahead and season the other side to your liking. We're going to be adding more flavor later, so don't go overboard. We're going to go ahead and sear all sides, nooks, crannies, and crevices to make sure we lock in some of that delicious beef flavor before we deglaze the bottom of our pan. I have 4 total cups or 1 box of beef broth for this process. I used 1 cup for the deglaze before I threw my meat back in the pan. We're going to come in with 1 packet of brown gravies. This part is actually really flexible. I use 2 packets. One's usually brown gravy and one is au jus. You can use 2 brown gravies or 2 au jus. Doesn't really matter. I do feel like the au jus packet adds in a more buttery flavor, but that's just me. We're going to go ahead and add in the other 3 cups of our beef broth, making sure all that seasoning packet is stirred in, and then flipping our meat over to make sure everything is nice and incorporated. This is your typical Sunday pot roast, so add what you like. I can go with carrots, onions, potatoes. You don't have to go that far, or you can go even further than that if you'd like. Any way you swing it, it's all going to slice out nice. You like more potatoes? Put more potatoes in there. If you don't want to add more seasoning, you can always add ranch powder, salt, pepper, garlic, whatever your preference is. I'm just going to add a little bit more water to the minimum line before we lock it up. But before we lit it, a stick of butter. Long live Paula Deen. Here comes your favorite part. You can DJ with it. If you know your way around a Betty Slow crocker, these usually take 8 to 10 hours to get tender. This took 2. Oh man, the bone fell out. You could totally serve this right here with a buttered piece of bread and be 100% satisfied. But I didn't get this overweight for no reason, so we're going to pull all that beef out and give it some shred. I got down with 2 forks on that job. Put back on the sear setting so we can go up to a boil while we add our cornstarch slurry. This is super easy. We're headed to the gravy train on biscuit wheels. After letting plenty of that moisture burn off, you have a nice, good, thick gravy. We're going to give our meat a good moisture boost by tossing it in and giving it some swish. Imagine like beef tips and gravy, but like with roast. That's where we're headed. I'm from the Midwest, so if you're Southern and I mess that up, it's okay. It's just a nice little meal for you to enjoy and do it your way. If you omitted the potatoes earlier, this would be a good time to serve this over the top of mashed potatoes with a piece of buttered bread. If you made it this far in the video, all I ask is that you give me a follow for simple, easy meal ideas and a little bit of humor along the way, keeping your family fed and out of the drive-thru to save you a little bit of money. We're gonna get it all out on our fancy Walmart plate, give it some parsley garnish, and come get dinner!
A little bit of salt. Get a little bit of everything on there. Dig in.
In the words of the fireman, that dog will hunt.
One of my favorites.
You're going to want to save this recipe for later, and that Instant Pot definitely made it super easy. I'll put the link for it in my bio.
I need a moment.